anticipate that we're going to have a very special evening. The evening program, the format is going to be slightly more informal than one would expect in a usual panel discussion, in that this is a part of the programming for Lest We Forget. Maybe many of you have already seen the Lest We Forget exhibition inside. If not, I welcome you to come. And I'd like to explain that Lest We Forget is a part of an ongoing initiative to grow an archive, a vernacular archive, of photographs, memories, stories sourced from the public, sourced from anyone who would like to contribute. Every day here at the warehouse, we have Lest We Forget staff members here in the recording studio. If the door's closed, please knock on it. You're welcome at any point to share your own stories. I know that we have a lot of people in this audience who have lived here for a very long time, and I've tried to welcome the long-term residents to join us towards the front. And what I'd like to have happen tonight is that we have our distinguished guests here who will initiate a conversation and share with you all their personal memories of a very long time. And I'm hoping that they will eventually join into a conversation with each other, and then join in with the long-term residents, and then join in with the rest of the visitors out here, and that we can have a large sort of performative conversation together. So let's see if that works. That's the hope. It should be largely Q&A towards the end, but in a very informal way.
What you are going to see tonight, it's a short time with the 70s. And I was 20 years old at this time. Oh, it's a little bit. So the beginning was a noise story. After some days, it was a little bit boring. Just had a picture I wanted because of Total headquarters allowed me to go to the bush and overseas on what do you call it? On the sea. It was a little bit different at the time, quiet, as the music was tonight. No much car, and gentle people. A little bit afraid of what they're doing.
And this actually was a coral reef all those years ago. And I have here a little bit of...
How deep?
This is about 8,500 feet down, 8,000 feet down. In meters, I can't work that out. I'll leave that to you. And this is some oil that comes from out of that stone. And if anyone wants to sip it, then I have got here a little glass to pour it out for you. Any volunteers? I'm most disappointed. I did have someone who, when I kept one of these in my office here, where Adco is now, and he came in one day and closed the door and pointed to my can behind the door and said, "Are you doing anything with that?" And I said, "Well, no." He said, "Are you going to throw it out?" "Well, it's a sample from one of the tankers. I have to throw it out soon." And he said, "Could I take it?" I said, "Well, of course." He said, "Well, why?" He said, "Well, it's medicine. I drink it." Well, okay, have it. Good luck. Sorry, I diverted from your wonderful pictures. I think they're amazing. And I love the pictures, too, of the mosque and the donkey going through the soup. You know, this was what it was. And you've portrayed life as it really was in those days. Brilliant. I shouldn't say...
Well, I came quite a lot later, like 4 years after David had already sampled the life in Abu Dhabi. And many of your pictures were still exactly the same in '67. as then in 74 when you came. Yeah, I wasn't very good acquaintance by having a camera with me. We photographed very little.
Yes, we
and
did.
so it's lovely to have the chance to
wonderful.
see your pictures.
It was very difficult to work on people.
Yes.
Yes.
Takes time. It was a small city at the time
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you're a white guy with long hair, I had long hair, this is white. At the end, I had long, and I had this type of eyes.
Yes.
Because I was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also you had the equipment to see a little bit further than with a normal click.
Difficult profession.
Yeah, but it was difficult to photograph people you didn't want to. I remember down near Estaire, which is northeast of the Lewa, and I had someone in the Land Rover, and we passed a small family, just their well was down there, and date palms down there, and they came up because they heard us coming, and by the side of the track, and the engineer who was with me in the other side of the Land Rover took out his camera and wanted to photograph these people. Ladies, and I said, no, please don't. And I could see their faces after we'd gone past, and I felt awful because they'd seen the camera, and it just was not on. And I did feel awful, but there we are.
The funny thing about the camera was that a lot of people felt that this is what they explained to me, and I don't have very many photographs, but was that you were capturing their spirit. And that was why it was sort of a taboo thing.
Yeah.
But after a while, when somebody produced the Polaroid camera, and there was this sort of instant picture, all the kids would come around you and say, oh yes, me, and everybody wanted one then. So it then and now changed quite quickly.
Everyone had that equipment.
It is different now. Everybody is snapping shots.
Yes.
All countries.
Yeah. But of course, then we had to send our films off to, well, later to Ajman, but earlier to Europe for development, and it all took a long time, and so it was really a bit of a tedious process for us.
I can see that you're using Kodak film.
Yes, of course. This did actually contain a film earlier. Now it contains a bit of crude oil. It doesn't leak out. You see, it's watertight, oil tight.
The other nice thing I thought, Jack, was that you did get into the countryside at one stage, and there was some pictures of an experimental farm there where they were learning and seeing what they could grow with regards to vegetables.
That was Total.
CFP.
Yeah, near Magic.
Experimental. But it was amazing. Then people were growing, experimenting with fruit and vegetable and things to see what could be grown in a pretty hostile environment. With a little bit of
beginning of the green.
That's true. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is a chance for me to jump in. David jumped in really quickly before I had a chance to properly introduce
got there
you.
first.
This is David Hearn, and I think many of you in the audience are already very familiar with his incredible book, From Pearls to Oil. And David came here in 1963. He came here just when oil was being exported. The very first missions, he was a part of these exploratory projects and navigated that whole process. If you read this book, he's researched it in a very scholarly and detailed way, going through archives, going through many interviews. It's a wonderful way of experiencing this country. And David is talking about oil and brought this oil. He was generous enough to send this vial of oil to the Venice Biennale 2 years ago.
Yes,
so
yes.
it's made its round. And I would like to take the chance to also introduce David's lovely wife, who again, many of you already know, Frauke Herté, author of From Truthful States to the UAE, the United Arab Emirates. And the two of them have lived here since the 60s, and they have slowly documented and recorded and thought deeply about this country. So it's a real treat to get to know them personally as well as through their research.
You see, I met Frauke in a long, long time ago. We haven't changed very much, actually. Every time I look in the mirror in the morning, I think there's no change, same as ever. And Frauke too, not in the least. But there we are. Now then, let's move on from that, because it gets embarrassing, doesn't it? Oh no, that's going backwards, that's no good. Does that, yes, well you see, this was my visa in my passport, rulers of the Trucial States, and so on. And next to it is a Durchreise visum when one travelled to West Berlin through East Germany, communist East Germany, and one had to have this visa, and it was an uncomfortable journey, whereas coming to the Trucial States in those days, it wasn't uncomfortable at all. It was lovely. I mean, well, it was a Comet 4 and then a DC-3 which landed at Jopeldan, and anyway.
Why did you go to Berlin?
Ah, yes, I had a dentist there. All right. Oh dear. Yes. Let's move on. This was me at yes, these are blowout preventers. After the sad episode in the Gulf of Mexico, everyone knows what blowout preventers are. So here they are, but the ones in Gulf of Mexico are much bigger than that. And this, I put it in because he visited us. Anyone know who that is on the right? He died a few days ago. Exactly.
Well done.
Well done.
Yeah.
And we showed him around. In those days, you could go out to drilling rigs, out to degassing stations. I liked your pictures of Buhasa degassing station in the sand there. You can't do that sort of thing now, for two reasons. They won't let you near, and secondly, nowadays, most of the gas is saved and exported. In the early days, of course, we flared it. And if you were down in the Lever, you would look back northwards and you would see, at night time, there, Buhasa, there's Habshan, and the little one over there is Shams. Just burning off the gas. Now, I must move on. Margarita Sparks, here she is. She was headmistress of the school in those days, the British school, Al-Kabaret, and Princess Anne visited. And there you are, Margarita. You haven't changed a bit. That's right, 1987. Tell us.
Yes, it was 1987. And she stayed about an hour and she presented prizes at the swimming gala. And it was great. And before her in 79, the Queen came to the school, so we've been very honoured over the years. I hope it's still going on.
It's thriving, it's doing very well. Just a small family picture. I saw Nicholas creep in. He's changed a bit since then, actually, but we haven't changed. And the two girls, well, they've changed a bit too, I suppose. But yeah. Frauke took this picture in 1968. National Day was the day to celebrate the accession of Sheikh Zayed, which was 6th of August 1966. And every year that was National Day. And they put out the decoration. The American Embassy was on the top of one of these buildings for a time. So I brought with me a threepenny bit, an English threepenny bit, 3-penny bit from those days, with the King George VI head on it. It is, now these, I'm not sure how many sizes there were there, but if they were proper threepenny, how many?
It was the right thing.
The right thing, actually, so I've checked them.
They were still being minted because in Oman they were still not currency exactly, but appreciated and used for making jewelry and so on. The silver content is just so reliable.
Guaranteed, yes.
Guaranteed, yeah.
And in fact, in my book, you will see that in 1944 or 43, Sheikh Shahbut was receiving the payments from our company, and it was silver, and of course it was this silver. And Lermit, who brought it in his dhow, took the boxes to Sheikh Shahbut, who then counted and said, "This is not enough, take it away." And he had to take it away until they sorted that one out. I have to point it that way, don't I? Here is Sheikh Shahbut. This was the Intercontinental. It's now something else in LA. And there was a wedding going on. And at the end of the proceedings, I saw Sheikh Shahbut alone heading for this vast cavernous lift. And I thought, this is terrible. This is the former ruler of Abu Dhabi alone going into the lift. So I called Bill, who was his secretary for several years, and used to then come back every year, courtesy of Sheikh Shahbut, and lived in a lane. I could tell you a lot of stories about that, but never mind. And so I said to Bill, let's go quickly. And so we ran across and accompanied, and the manager of the hotel found us too, and we all accompanied Sheikh Shahbut down in the lift. He was a wonderful man. Now I face the right way to get the next picture. This is Michael, this is you. Ambassador Michael Tate.
Must be a long time ago. Oh yes, I'm the very handsome chap in the middle there at the back.
And this is Prince Charles, Sheikh Khalifa, Sheikh Saror, Ahmed Khalifa Oswedi, Sheikh Nahyan bin Mubarak, and Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed. This is Jeremy Williams, who wrote Don't They Know It's Friday. This is Peter Clark, who is Arabic is excellent, has translated Muhammad al-Moore's poetry into English, etc. That's me, believe it or not. And that is Henry Hogger, who was later ambassador in Syria, etc. And whose dog tried to eat your dog, I believe.
Yes, it was the most regrettable incident. It affected his career very badly.
Whose career, the dog's or the...
But not as badly as it affected the dog's career. Anyway, as you see there, I'm making a speech, an impassioned speech on the occasion of Prince Charles's visit. And
nonsense, it wasn't an impassioned speech at all. You were demanding that... Come on.
I was demanding what?
You were demanding something.
Probably a drink.
No, you were not. You were saying, come on in, join the picture.
Oh, yes, that's right. Prince Charles was very shyly waiting to one side, you see, and we had this group arranged of dignitaries, and I had to coax him to come in and be the sort of centre picture, but I don't know where the picture
nonsense.
of him is.
This is a lot of nonsense.
Okay, David, you just take over.
You were calling your dear wife to come in and join the party.
Oh, sorry, I had a slight gap in my memory there. Apparently I was calling my dear wife to come and join the party, but I'm afraid she's no longer my dear wife. This is why I have forgotten about her. She's been erased.
But the proof is in photographs that were taken later when she joined us down on the floor here. So
okay, well let's see the next photograph. Well, I have to prove wrong again.
I don't have that photograph with me. I can't bring all the photographs I have and all the thoughts and memories that I have. But there you are, Michael. Shall we move on? Can we move on?
I think we should. It's all very embarrassing.
This is the top of Jebel Hafid. Michael, we had climbed to the top of Jebel Hafid with Frauke.
And you instigated it, and
yes.
It was for the Great Ormond Street appeal, and so we all walked up there, and my shoes gave up, and Nicholas was actually kind enough to go with Mummy along the top to the parking place where some people had arranged for cars to be there. And when we came to the parking place, in fact, Sheikh Zayed was having a lunch up there, and it was for his guest, who is now the King of Bahrain and was the Crown Prince at the time, Hamid, who actually I had met before he had been to the old fort, to our centre, to find out some things about the problems between Bahrain and Qatar. And he had been sent by his father to look in our archive material, but that's another story. But anyway, we came out of a hole in the mountain and climbed up there, and there was the most fantastic lunch going on, which was catered by the Intercontinental, all set out with the view of the countryside, and they had just started to eat, so we couldn't go round and say hello, but we were told to sit opposite. All the dignitaries were lined up on one side, and we were told to sit opposite, and so we said hello and sat down, and someone came with ewer and soap and towel and so on, and we discarded our shoes, mine having a gaping sort of sole, and I discarded it by the side of the carpet that had been set out there, and so we joined in the dinner, the lunch, and after the lunch, the coffee, and we are sitting for a longish time, because Sheikh Sarur was there and others who knew us, and asked, somehow it was explained that I had written this book, and Sheikh Zayed then asked whether I had written any other books, and I said yes, I had written in German a book about the Gulf states, the GCC, which had just been started, and anyway, and he asked what I found, what would bring the GCC together, and I said their joint history and their joint sort of tribal history and all of this, and then he burst into an explanation of what makes a really good ruler in a state that is has a future. And he just had, I didn't understand all the details, but it was absolutely wonderful. He was spirited into saying a lot himself, and to his guests and to me opposite and so on. It was absolutely wonderful. And then he got up, and then we had a chance to actually go around and shake hands. And then he disappeared into his Mercedes or whatever. And we sort of went a little way down the mountain to the pre-parked cars and came down to where Michael and David and all of the other participants had arrived. And we said, guess where we had lunch? And they wouldn't really believe it until it was in the newspapers some days later.
If I could just add, sorry, on the Great Ormond Street then, that I think was the time when Prince Charles and Princess Diana came out. And they raised the most amount of money that Great Ormond Street had raised outside of the United Kingdom at that time. And then when you think that's then, and then we move forward to now, there's Her Highness Sheikh Fatima, give you a wonderful donation to Great Ormond Street, comparing to then and now.
Yeah, yeah. Sheikh Zayed used to like to sit and talk after a meal.
Is this the last one? Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure whether it is the last one. I will find out in a minute. Sheikh Zayed used to love to sit and talk after a meal, in contrast to Sheikh Rashid in Dubai, who used to get up and get out before any of the ambassadors have managed to even sample the O'Malley and whatever comes afterwards, which was to the great embarrassment, irritation of people such as Michael, who loved their O'Malley. So he enjoyed lunch in Abu Dhabi much more than lunch in Dubai.
All the goods and things, and the sheikh would go up and randomly go and tax one of the dhows, and then all the merchants would get together in the evenings, and then they would share the sort of punishment that the person had been taxed. So there was marvellous cooperation then. And again, if you fast forward now, you see same sort of thing. The leadership here gathering in Bab al-Shams. You see change in the government, and you see things moving forward. And it's a lot of people getting together, working together, and a spirit of unity. And the reason I chose this photograph was because this is we all know Sheikh Zayed. But the gentleman on the left was Mohammed bin Khalifa, and Sheikh Salama bint Hamdan bin Mohammed bin Khalifa, so that's her great-grandfather. And then there's a boy in the middle who I'm sure most of you will recognize his link into the family as well. And he was the youngest son at the time, so this is taken in 1968. And what are they doing there? They're watching a football match. So this is Alain, 1968. When did Nadi Alain, the Alain Football Club, start? 1968. Now I don't know if this is the actual first football match, but this was Sheikh Zayed encouraging team spirit, and I think that's something that the leadership today has taken from events like this. The patron of the Alain Football Club is none other than the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi. So to encourage that spirit of unity. Yes, the oil price is down. Yes, times are tough. When the cultured pearl came onto the market, times were tough, but everybody got together, worked together, and the country still continued to progress. And I'm sure we're going to find exactly the same from this times. If I could have the second, thank you. This was my second choice, was then and now, and this is the Archbishop of, thank you, the Archbishop of Jerusalem, and this is St Andrew's Church, again 1968, on the Corniche. The St Andrew's Church was there.
Campbell McGuinness.
And this was Sheikh Zayed, who had gone into the church, and the point that I have on this one is about tolerance, and the tolerance that was shown then, and the tolerance that's shown now. And I think that one of the things that makes this country so special is that we have this wonderful tolerance. You know, we talked about the tough neighbourhood that we live in and the conflicts in the region and all the rest of it. But one of the lessons I think that the leadership today has learned from the leadership then is tolerance. And, you know, there is now a minister of tolerance. So I don't think it's by mistake that there just happens to be. Now, one of the things that I had the privilege to, my first boss, first manager, whatever you like to call it, was Sheikh Zayed, God rest his soul. And quite early on into joining the private affairs department, he sort of sat me down and said, you know, there are some things we need to set clear. And this was again, this is about the tolerance. This was about the fact you're a Christian and you can go to church. Your religion allows that. You're a Christian, you can drink alcohol. You're a Christian, you can eat pork. Your religion allows that. Please don't offer to my Muslim brothers. So it wasn't just the tolerance, it was the boundary setting. He gave me very clear instructions what I can do and what I can't do. And I think, again, that's what we're seeing today, is that there are very clear boundaries. You know, what's acceptable here. We have the United Nations of different nationalities all working very happily together here. But the other thing that was made clear, in the Majlis at the time when he raised this, you know, Christianity, you're allowed to do this, but don't break these boundaries. Somebody asked about, well, you know, why and how come, and you know, alcohol, it's not acceptable. And yeah, Sheikh Zayed had obviously had this question asked of him, you know, many times before. And for him it wasn't a big problem. It was, you know, if we don't allow it, well, it's going to happen anyway. But also it was about, you know, people need to be able to do what they want to do, what's acceptable in their way, their religion. And this was the key to me at the time, was to enjoy life. It wasn't just about, you know, well, here, we're tolerant people, you can do these things. We want you to enjoy life. And what do we see today, recently? Minister of Happiness. And I just don't think those are two sort of random, you know, occurrences. The fact that there's a Minister of Tolerance and a Minister of Happiness, you know, to me, this picture kind of sums it up. Sheikh Zayed was doing these things quite naturally, talking about these things quite naturally, and the leadership then was promoting it, and it's great, I think, that we see the same sort of, you know, things going on in this day and age. So those were the two slides that I wanted to just talk to. I've got a few more pictures, just if you want to see some more pictures, and I can add some sort of directory to them as well, commentary. Again, this is the same situation, and here it is. Now these are BP photographs, so they've got copyright rules and regulations on them, but it just explains how we got them. You see how close the church was to the corniche then, and again, then and now. So this is Sheikh Zayed in the United Kingdom, again with one of his sons. And the point of this one was about the statesman. You know, Sheikh Zayed went around the world. He went around and he looked and he saw other things. It wasn't everything was, you know, from here. He went out and he met other people, and I don't know how many people here are aware, but I think in 1993 he was voted Man of the Year. And you know, you don't just get that, you earn that. And he earned the respect of many nations by going out and visiting those nations, not sitting here waiting for people to come to visit him, but he actually went out and did meet the other people. You know, David, if Franco, Jack, you feel free to, or even Michael, I mean, diplomat. What was, you know, what was the UK's? He went to the UK on this visit, I think it says in the next. Oh, diplomacy, Sheikh Zayed and diplomacy. And today, my point is that today they're doing the same thing. You see the leadership here going out and, you know, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed and things, going to America and visiting the United Kingdom. So this was a visit to BP by Sheikh Zayed, from Abu Dhabi in June 1966.
I was ambassador here, a very good fortune I had to be ambassador here between 86 to 89, representing the United Kingdom. And I had many occasions to meet Sheikh Zayed, and he was always unfailingly helpful and kind, for a very, very positive person. It was a great pleasure to work with him.
And then the last, so this is the other way around. This is the last photograph I think I have.
It's in the old fort.
Yes, this is Frauke's old workplace. I thought she would recognise her old office there. But the reason I showed this one is that this is the other point I think about what then and now. So this is the head of BP, chairman of BP, and Sheikh Zayed, and the point of partnerships is one I think that this country's done so well. They did it, Sheikh Zayed started off with these partnerships, or Sheikh Shakut even before that, with the partnerships, and it just happened to be oil, but there are lots and lots of partnerships one sees today. So partnerships then and partnerships now seem to be a pretty winning way, and part of what I see in the sort of success of the country has been this working together with other people. And you just look at the audience here. I don't know how many different nationalities there are, but there must be a fair collection of United Nations here. And it's, so this was the reciprocation. This was Sheikh Zayed receiving and accepting this concept of partnerships. It says here who it was, Sir Maurice Bridgman, and this is March 1968. So that was the last, I think, photograph that I had, just again to reflect then and now.
I'm sure that the audience would very much like to engage in this conversation. One of the members of the audience came to me a few days ago, and he was willing to share a few of his own slides, which I thought would be a nice way to spark off the conversation, transitioning from the panel to the audience. And this is Mr. Salah Al-Tamimi, if he would like to come up, please. We met a few years ago when we had a Lest We Forget exhibition, and I saw that Salah had a very interesting project. He took photographs from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and in recent years he went back to those places and he took before and after photographs. So I'd like to share just a few of those sequences with you, and Mr. Tamimi will think of this.
Thank you very much.
Shabab. Shabab, Shabab.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Yes. First, I would like to thank Dr. Michel for inviting me to this talk. And my name is Salah Al-Tamimi. Part of the photos which I have, today I will show almost just 12 of them due to limited time is given to me. I have been photographing from the 70s, mid-70s actually, and until 90s. When I did that, I didn't do it purposely to know that in the future I'll go back to the same place and photograph the same place, do it same place photography. It's just from the love of my hobby. Purchasing my first camera was in 1977, and that was, I paid 700 dirhams in 1977. That was big money in that time. I think we'll complete the composition after seeing the photos. In between, I will explain the location and the place where I took the photos. So, this is, Adco is just on the right, here, first thing.
David,
Used to be H block.
David, here's your chance to point out the coin.
If it's buildings, they're straight ahead of you there.
Yeah.
Two of them.
Yes, and the British Embassy, American Embassy is there.
And the top floor, yes.
Yes, that is American Embassy. And ADCO is just at the fast, yes, this is ADCO here.
Actually, in 1970, whatever. 70, which did you say?
This should be around 77.
77, okay.
Or 78, something like that.
Because it was, ADCO was established February 79. Before that, it was Abu Dhabi Petroleum Company.
Yes, of course. Yeah, right, you're right. You're right, yeah.
And then that was from 73 until 79.
Sure, yeah. The name changed at that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, the building was there. And later on,
exactly. Let's not quibble. I could quibble for a long time.
Okay. Yes. And I believe the building, the glass building which was there, it was...
Which one?
This one, yeah.
The glass one.
Yes. This was the earliest or one of the first buildings, glass buildings in Abu Dhabi. This one and the other one was the Abu Dhabi National Insurance Company.
Oh, that's way behind, yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
That was the airlift.
Now, this is the then photo. Last year I took now, after, which is called, I call it after because my presentation was before and after. And actually, this is the first time I'm showing this to the public. It has never been shown before to the public. I showed them to my photography group, that was last year, and that's it. I've been hiding them for the last 40 years. Yes, taking great care of them. This is the after, at the same place.
Wow.
The only thing here changed was my location, my point of where I took the photo. Because that place actually where I said I couldn't get this view to show the thing. In the past, this place showed everything. The whole view is there. But then, I couldn't sit there and get the same view. I mean, get the overview of the city. So I chose a location where I could get a nice view of the same place. And I was lucky to be at a location, at a place where I got the reflection of the city in the mirror of the right-hand side. Anybody remember this? And anybody can imagine these places? I think, apart from what we have here. To the right, yes, please.
On the left is the beginning for the fountain.
Yes, fountain was there at the green.
At the green.
This is before the fountain was built.
Yeah, but it
Long
was
time
the
ago.
location for the fountain.
Right, right. This is the last there, you have the Mina. You can see the warehouses that just started to be, yes. And
That's already the first corniche.
this is the port, seaport warehouse.